In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to grow green beans in Farming Simulator 25. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's check out the help menu for vegetables, and in this case green beans. So the vegetable family in Farming Simulator is growing. After carrots, parsnips and red beets, you can now also grow spinach, green beans and peas. Unlike root vegetables, no special sowing machines are required and no ridges need to be built. After preparing the soil, the vegetables are sown using a seeding machine. When the vegetables are ready for harvesting, you will need a special harvesting machine. Each of the three varieties has its own harvesting machine, so you should decide at the beginning which type of vegetable you want to start with, as the acquisition costs can very quickly exceed the capabilities of your farm. Geez, that's a mouthful. So basically what they're saying there is it can get very expensive to do multiple crops, so you're better off just starting with one type and then working your way up, or adding this later on. But we're going to see if we can make it profitable from day one, and we're just going to start with green beans, so we'll get into that now. Okay, so first thing we need to do to plant green beans is we need to ensure that we're in the month of April, May or June. So we've fast forwarded to April, so you can see that there in the crop calendar, which means we're able to plant the green beans. And we've got a field here on Riverbend Springs, field number 4. So it's currently fertilized and ploughed by the looks of it. So we're ready for planting. So let's go ahead and get organized for that. All right, so we've got some equipment here ready to go. So we've got a tractor, a planter and some fertilizer and seeds. So the planter that we're using, so if we come into planters, so any of the planters will plant green beans. So we're going to use the Kverneland Optima RS. So you can see that there, the green bean symbol signifies that it will plant green beans along with those other crops. We've already organised a tractor and some seed and fertilizer, so let's go and get these guys filled up. So pretty much all you got to do is drive alongside the fertilizer and seed. It'll prompt you to refill, so if you just got to get close enough for that to happen. So you can see that there, and then we just need to find the fertilizer component, or compartment, sorry. So you can see that going in there, and we'll do one more, and that should get us to 100%. Cool, so we're all set up to go. So let's head over to our field and get this planting underway. I'll see you over there. Alright, so we've got our field here. So we're on Riverbend Springs. We've started in Farm Manager, so we only own field number 4. The other fields are empty currently because we've fast forwarded time. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch straight into the field prep. So we've got a needs lime step. So if you're not familiar with the field preparation, check out my other guides on field prep. But for the moment, we're just going to get stuck into the planting. So we're going to grab our tractor and planter combo. Alright, here we are at the field. So we're going to seed field 4. So let's toggle through on our seeder to the green beans, so you can see that there. Next thing we need to do is unfold the seeder. So with this particular seeder, what you need to do is you need to disconnect it from this end, okay, and connect to it at the midpoint, which makes a lot more sense now. So let's try this again. Okay, and then we should be able to unfold the seeder from here. Okay, we've already selected green beans. Let's drive over to the field now and get this worker to detect the field, which we should be able to do. Okay, this field is now detected. We're just going to hit reset. We've got an automatic pattern that's already come up, so we're going to just hit hire worker on that. Potentially need a front weight here, but we'll see how we go. So we'll let this guy get underway. So we'll just jump out quickly. So you can see out there we have got green beans growing, 60% yield bonus, 50% fertilized, and we've got weeds growing, so we're going to need to organize a hoe. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll come back and complete those field prep steps in a minute. But let's just jump back into here. So you can see we're planting the green beans. Pretty straightforward. Now if you've got weeds turned off, you can deal with that. But we're going to let this guy do his thing, and then we'll come back in with the next step. See you in a minute. Alright, so we've just finished planting the green beans, so we'll get this guy off the field, and we'll get into the de-weeding shortly. So we've got our weeder set up just over here. So the weeder we've gone for, if you come into yield improvement over to weeders, we've gone the Pottinger Rotocare V 12400. So this is for medium size weeds, okay? If the weeds get to the large size, then you've got to use chemical herbicide. But at this stage, we can use the mechanical weeder. So we're just going to unfold this guy like so. It's got a pretty decent working width, so we should be able to get this done quite quickly. Now we haven't got a growth state on this yet, so what we're going to do is get our worker underway. So we'll just hit reset, make sure that's all good. Hit OK, let our worker take over, and then we'll have a bit of a look at the field state change, if any. Yeah, so it works pretty quickly as well, which is good. And we should get rid of that. So you can see that there, that weeds growing indicator has now gone. Now we could put down some lime as well, but I'm going to skip that step just for the sake of time. But if you're doing this for real and you want to get maximum yield, basically do your full field preparation to get maximum yield. We are going to fertilize, so we'll come back to that shortly. So let's let this guy do his thing and then we'll come back in. See you in a minute. Alright, so we've skipped through to May, so 1 month of growth. We've de-weeded with our hoe. It needs lime we've left, so we've got a growth state on it, so we can put a second state of fertilizer down, because we've already put one down in the planting stage. So we've got our Amazon's fertilizer spreader on the back here, so we're just going to quickly whip over and do this fertilization. Now we should be okay to drive on the crop and not get a crop destruction penalty, because it's still early in the growth stage. So we're going to utilize the worker again, so pretty straightforward. Let's let him get lined up. We're also using the helper buy function, so we're not going to deplete our stock of fertilizer. And we're almost doing the entire field here, so we're just going to do one pass, I think, and then we'll leave it at that for now. So let's come back in once this guy's finished the fertilizing. See you in a sec. Right, there we go, fertilization is done, so let's go check our field state. So we've got an 82% yield bonus, so we're probably missing out on the lime and possibly the ploughing. So if you wanted to get 100% yield bonus, obviously plough first, then go through your liming steps, etc. Do your fertilization and you should be good. You'll also notice, if we jump out into the build mode, you can see the rows run perpendicular to each other. So basically what that is because of the way the worker seeds the field with the headland. So if you want to have the rows all going in one way, you'll have to do it manually and do the up and downs, because the worker will do a headland, and you can see that the headland is in a different direction, hence why the rows look a bit out of whack. So this being a row crop, like most crops are row crops, but the vegetables in particular show up differently based on how they're planted. So that's what that is. All right, so we've done everything now. What we need to do is wait until we get to our harvesting window. So because we planted in April, we will be able to harvest in August. So let's go ahead and skip through to August and we'll come back with the harvesting. I'll see you in a sec. Alright, we've skipped through to August, so you can see that here. We've got the field information, green beans ready to harvest, 82% yield bonus and 100% fertilized. So to harvest them, what we need to do is organize a harvester. So come down to the vegetable section, okay? So we've got the spinach harvester, the green bean harvester, and the pea harvester. So these are all independent harvesters, and they're the only ones available. So the only green bean harvester we've got is the Oxbow BP214E for nearly $500,000. So what we're going to do is we're going to lease this. So let's go ahead and lease that. And this is it here. So let's drive it back to the farm and we'll check it out while we're on the way. So 4-wheel steering for maneuverability. Pretty small working width. I think it's like, I don't know, 4 meters or 2 meters or something like that. So base game, that's the only option we have. There might be some mods that you can download and install that will do this potentially quicker, but at time of recording I'm not aware of any, so it's going to be a bit of a labor intensive process and a bit slow. Obviously if you get multiple harvesters it'll be a bit quicker. Let's have a look in the in-cab view, but obviously it's a lot of cost to outlay for each one. So let's head back to the farm, we'll get this harvest underway, so I'll see you in a sec. Alright, so here we are back at the farm, so let's get this guy unfolded. So L1 and X to unfold, and then we want to lower the harvester and then turn it on, and we're good to go. So let's just run up the side here, see if we're actually harvesting some crop. Looks like we are. Probably missed a little bit there, but we'll get the worker to do this in a sec. Now you can use steering assist mode, obviously, if you're familiar with that. You've got your little edge guide there if you're going to do the in-cab view. Obviously you want to make sure you drive relatively straight. Pretty cool animations, 10k per hour top speed, so it's not super quick. But yeah, this is pretty much the harvester in action. And you can see the beans getting collected in the back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish off this run, and then I'll flick it over to the worker who can complete, and then we'll carry on with the next steps on how to process the beans, how to store them, where you can sell them, that type of thing. So let's just get this worker underway actually. So you can see there's going to be quite a few headlands and quite a few passes. So let's just go OK, and then see what the worker does from here. Now you will notice the worker can drive on the crop without getting the crop destruction penalty. So you as the player can't do that if you've got crop destruction turned on, so just be mindful of that. So it looks like the guy's going to do a 1,000,000 point turn and then kick off. And obviously because I've done a partial run, it's kind of thrown the worker off initially, so it is what it is. So anyway, we'll let this guy do his thing and then we'll come back in once the harvest is completed. So I'll see you in a minute. Alright, so we just completed the green bean harvest, so now we've got to get our green beans transported from the field to a sell point or to a production point to turn into something else. So what we need to do here is we need to move the bunker up, like so, to unload, and we should get the conveyor belt to unload, and then all we've got to do, pull alongside our trailer, pretty standard for most crop types, and then it will automatically unload. So this one doesn't automatically unload on the go, you have to stop and unload, like so. So out of this field, with an 80% yield bonus, we ended up with about 7,000 litres, so not a huge amount of yield. Doesn't say what our yield is there, but it was about 80%, so not quite full, but not exactly 100%, so not a huge yield. Alright, so where can we sell these guys? So let's have a look at the prices information. Alright, so straight green beans, peak prices in August of 2,271. So I think we're on easy economy here. And they can be processed further into, I think, jarred beans, or jarred green beans, wherever they are, just here. So peak price of about 5,782. So if you're not sure how to sell green beans, basically what you want to do is you're going to come to the green beans section we were just on, and the places that will purchase them are the farmers market, canning factory, grain barge terminal, etc. Okay, now I don't know if you can store these in a silo. I mean, maybe we should check that quickly, so let's go ahead and check if we can store these guys in a silo. Now this should work for all silos in the game, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so we're not getting the overloading icon here, which indicates to me there's no storage capacity. Okay, so pretty much you've got to take these green beans and sell them straight away, or you've got to go and purchase the canning factory, which is what we're going to do in a second. But before we do that, we're going to go sell them at the canning factory, and then when you buy the canning factory back, the product will be in there. So let's go ahead, tag the canning factory on the map. There should be a beam of light pop up somewhere. Let's check the large map. So it's basically north east corner. So you can see the red icon 1,370 meters away. If I can get out of these trees, just over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive over to the canning factory, and then we'll come back in and we'll go from there. So I'll see you over there. Alright, here we are at the canning factory. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up and we're going to unload this product. So we should get the overloading icon. So dump green beans, R1 in triangle. So you can see that going in there. So we got some money for them. Now what we're going to do is process these further and purchase the point. So the purchase point should be around here, I believe. Yep. So buy canning factory, yes. Building has been purchased. Okay, and then we want to come into this icon to manage. All right, now if we have a look at our inventory, so if we scroll down here, we should have green beans. No, we don't. All right, so FYI, if you, in FS22, if you put the product into the production point, it was there available to you. However, now in FS25, it seems that they've removed it. So we've just sold the green beans. The green beans are not in stock. So we'll have to organize some more green beans, and then we'll come back in and we'll do the production chain. So I'll see you in a minute. All right, here we are back at the canning factory with some additional green beans. So let's go ahead and get these guys into the production point. So we've got a decent amount here, so we should be able to get a fair bit of product, hopefully. All right, there we go. So that's the green beans in. We've already purchased the production point. So what we've got to do now is turn on some productions and get some product underway. So let's have a look. Okay, so we own the canning factory. As you can see, the products are in the middle. Okay, so they're all set to storing currently. So jarred green beans is the one we want. So output mode is storing, selling, distributing. So we're just going to go storing, so it'll produce them and store them at the storage point at the canning factory, which we'll have a look at in a second. We need to activate that by pressing X. We can see our incoming materials. We've got 29,000 litres of green beans. Now, does it show us the recipe? Here we go. Cycles per month, 240. Cost per month, $48 a month. So 100 green beans nets 45 jarred green beans. Okay, so about a halving of the product, essentially, which kind of makes sense. All right, so that's all active now. So just double check that's set to storing. That is active. And there's no other green bean products that we can. No, we cannot. All right, so let's go and have a look if we've got anything spawn yet. Nothing yet. So what we'll do is we'll sleep through till September and see if we've got some product. So I'll see you in a sec. All right, here we are in September. So we've slept through for 1 month and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 pallets. So it's not a bad production run really. Let's have a look, see if I can pick these up. Okay, so I've got super strength on console, so that's the liftable bales and pallets mod. Cool. So let's check out the price we get for these jarred green beans. So if we come back to the prices menu, scroll down to jarred green beans. So you can see September on Easy Economy is the peak price, and we can sell them at the farmers market, the Gold Crest Valley train, the restaurant, small farmers kiosk for about 5,500 on average. Farmers market's 5,782, which looks to be the best. Small farmers kiosk, that's back at the farm. So let's have a look where the farmers market is just quickly. I think it is just down the road here. Yeah, right there, literally right next door. So obviously, if we were going to sell these at the farmers market, it's a short trip to the sell point, which is just there, which is actually quite convenient for sale. Obviously, the next thing you would need to do is to load these guys up, transport them to where you want to sell, or you can set them to automatically sell, or you can set them to distribute to other productions, or if you've got the central warehouse mod installed, you can store them there and transport them in bulk using the auto load trailer. So that's pretty much green beans and the production chain for green beans. Let's move on. So there you have it, guys. Quick little intro on how to get started with green bean farming in Farming 25. So if you like this video, leave a like on it. If you've got any questions, leave them down below. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.